the problems of Bhinneka Tunggal Ika, where like racism is still happening, and then there's like a certain distinction between the differences that doesn't even unite us, it's still okay to do, right? Why is it okay for us to still consider like Papua to be like less than like Java and so on, but then at least we're friends with them, so it's okay? We think that they haven't answered these questions, right? Before I move on to my extensions, a few rebuttals and responses to the opposition side of the house. Now, first of all, when they're trying to say that we're trying to like remove, we're trying to like still like create differences. First of all, what Gilbert was trying to tell you is the fact that we're trying to champion the fact that there's no differences between Indonesians, right? No matter like what race you come from, you're still an Indonesian, and that doesn't matter. So this then counters there's no being parameter to discrimination, right? So we're not trying to erase the differences. However, what we're trying to cater to is the fact of the sense of belonging for these minorities in order for them to be able to like still want to stay in Indonesia at the end of the day, right? The problem here is the fact that racism still exists and the Indonesian people are still illiterate, right? Which is why the case of like Sarah is still very much weaponized in here in order to like diminish the minorities, as not like what the opposition is trying to tell you. But okay, even if the opposition say like we have to respect the minorities, it is up to them whatever they want to like attribute to. This still doesn't change the mindset of like these like pre-boomies that still continue like to blame like Chinese like inheritance and like so on for like the problems that are happening in Indonesia, right? This then shows that the mindset can only change when we change into a single national identity in order for people to feel like the same and so on, right? Okay, so now moving on to the rebuttals, right? First of all, they talk about that how like every region has a contribution that's happening nowadays, right? What will happen on our side is they say that there's going to be an exploitation, and they say that the development will be more equal on their side. Exactly, because the development right now is really bad, right? It's very marginalized into like Javanese areas such as Jakarta or like Bali and so on. It's exactly because the majority sees minorities only as numbers, right? They see that the investment and development of Indonesia can only happen from this side, right? Not from like the other regions, right? Because we see that investors only see like Java and so on because like it gives like a push, right? There is no demand in order for them to like for instance like invest in Kalimantan because it is minority, right? Comparatively on our side, when we make it a single national identity, it shows that the government has that incentive to like develop each nation, right? So because we're just equally the same, we equally have the same amount of like resources and environment to like develop, right? That's why then the foreign investment will come to like support the agenda of like Jokowi wanting to move the capital to Kalimantan to further give like these minorities a chance to feel Indonesia's development. Next, on how they say what they want to do is they want to use a diplomatic approach in order to like minorities to contest the government, right? We don't think that any change will happen, right? Because this is already happening in status quo. As Gilbert already told you about like Papua trying to fight for their rights because like because they feel like they don't belong in Indonesia and so on. And it shows that the hostility is already happening, right? We think that the hostility can only be like diffused if then there is like a change from the government's mindset to like be more mindful about them. And how do we do this? With the single national identity, right? So first then, my extension on expanding on Indonesia's sense of nationality. We think that by having this sense of belonging, we can revolutionize the education as what Gilbert has already explained to you, right? The simple is this, right? We change the mindset. For instance, inside your buku KWN or PKN, there's like a showing that like a good citizen is not just like a pribumi, but also like people that are, for instance, like have like darker skin color, or also like Chinese, right? Now this shows that the reluctance will decrease, right? Why is that so? It's because that children will not be taught that like people are different, right? Children will see that these are my friends, they are Indonesian nonetheless, whether or not they have like an accent so so on, right? What happens is status quo on opposition side is yes, school push that like you are the same, but then again still pick towards physicalities and which like kids most likely still bully these things, right? Now then, we push empowerment for these kids that like, it's like a highlight on history that like 1989 doesn't happen because like, it's like, because it's Chinese people's fault, but it's because of like a certain power that's like, pushing for this change, right? Now we think that kids will then understand that like this type of bullying is not a right, and therefore when we like is able to like change like this mindset of these kids, this then change the perspective on society in order to live better in harmony, right? For instance, minority will have more power because like they will like not live in areas without like discrimination, right? How does that what do I mean by that? For instance, people living in like Jakarta Utara and like Jakarta Barat will not most likely have to like be in fear of their life because of like scared of being like government like moving on. So now we move on to my second extension on improving national development in the long run. We think that the current government agenda is already focusing on developing all of Indonesia. For instance, policy trying to push tourism out of Bali, or policy trying to move the capital out of the Jakarta, right? These narratives is not, however, these narratives are not greatly accepted well in society, right? Because majority of the people, such as like Javanese and so on, argues a lot that this gives a misadvantage to them, right? Now this shows that there's a hindrance of movement, right? Comparatively on our side, the only way for us to push for this development so that this hindrance doesn't happen is to give the majority urgency through solidarity that's happening, right? So that most likely these people doesn't want to lobby the government to make this certain changes, right? Now Jakarta is not your only concern, but also the whole Indonesia as your brothers and sisters should be your focus, because exactly that's your hometown, not just like Jakarta, right? Even if there's still a hindrance, at the very least, these minorities in Indonesia has more than like power to push back like all these hindrances. For instance, like giving like more like check and balances and power, because like as Gilbert already told you, they're able to like be more empowered at the end of the day, right? Now in terms of like from minorities, they then realize that the government is actually caring for them and not like having to like riot over these changes, because then it is for the better of themselves too at the end of the day, right? So now lastly, on the case of politicians, we think that politicians will most likely to have like policies that cater to like all of the people instead of like just like a Muslim majority, because there is like because there's a sense of like solidarity that happens, right? Now their focus is not just to like cater to a certain group of people, but to a lot of people in order for them to sustain, right? Which is why we think